What is going on? Welcome to the N1 Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Sadu, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about taste and food preferences. So one of the most common things that I hear folks say at social events or gatherings when they're talking about changing their eating habits is that it's so hard for them to eat healthfully because they just love flavorful food, or they find that healthy food tastes super bland and boring. Healthy food, or single and minimal ingredient whole foods, taste how they taste. However, what changes is actually our taste buds, because your tongue is an organ, and it's an organ that's adaptable, meaning it can actually shift. So how does it shift? The healthier you eat, the more sensitive your taste buds become. And the unhealthier you eat, the less sensitive your taste buds become. It is just like alcohol tolerance. The more you drink, the more it takes for you to get your buzz on, and the less you drink, the less it takes for you to get that warm and fuzzy feeling going. Your taste buds and your tongue work the same way. So when you bombard your tongue on a daily basis with over-the-top, fatty, sugary, and salty foods, you dull it. And therefore, when you change it up and go for a healthy meal, it tends to taste quite bland and flavorless. However, when you eat healthfully on a regular basis, the exact opposite is the case. You taste quote unquote simple food in a really intense way. You pick up on all of the flavors and nuances that basic foods have. And then when you eat a super fatty, sugary, and salty meal, it often tastes too intense. It's too rich, too sweet, or too salty because your tongue has adapted to simpler, more healthful foods, and therefore junk food is essentially sensory overload to a point where it's not nearly as enjoyable as it once was. I've had so many clients say to me a week, 2, or 3 into their program that they were stoked to go eat X food for their treat meal. And then when they had it, it actually didn't taste all that good. It was pretty disappointing. And then they feel really excited to get back to eating their fresh whole foods. Now, there is a legitimate crossover period when you're either changing your eating habits for the better or for the worse, meaning when you're used to eating a bunch of processed foods on a regular basis and you then start to implement more single ingredient whole foods, they're most likely going to taste a little bit bland at first. But the more and more healthful meals you eat, the more and more sensitive your taste buds become. And you'll start to taste these healthful foods in a way that you once experienced as bland, as super flavorful. If you're really diligent with it, you can change your taste buds pretty considerably within a 7 to 14 day period. So this stuff happens fast, which is amazing because anyone can eat healthfully for a week or two. Now, this also works in the opposite direction. When you're eating healthfully and maybe you loosen up your diet a little bit and you include more treat-like foods, they're going to taste super over the top at first. But after, say, 7 to 14 days, your taste buds are going to dull, and those super fatty, sugary, and salty foods will essentially become the new norm from a taste sensation standpoint. So basically what I'm saying is that this phenomenon works in both directions. So how do you rewire your taste buds to actually prefer healthy food over processed foods? First of all, you eat healthful food on a very regular basis, and your taste buds will adapt for the better. Then, if you decide to mix in some processed foods, just do so sparingly and not on a super consistent basis, because you don't want your taste buds to revert back to essentially preferring those over-the-top flavors and then having your healthful food taste bland again. What I'd recommend in practice is heavily favoring single and minimal ingredient whole foods that you make yourself and then sprinkling in some treat foods here and there, no more than say 2 to 3 times per week, and definitely not on back-to-back days. This way you'll keep your taste buds super sensitized and preferring healthful food versus trending towards preferring treat-like foods. It's similar to alcohol in the way that when you have a drink, you tend to want to have a drink more the next day and then even more the day after that. And then all of a sudden you're having a drink or two every single day. So instead of letting it get to that point with your food choices, limit funky foods to no more than 2 to 3 times per week. And again, not on back-to-back days. One of the super cool benefits of rewiring your taste buds is that you're going to start tasting food like you've never tasted it before. For example, a quality grape tomato is going to taste incredible. Fresh fruit may even taste like dessert, And the taste of things like fresh spices and herbs are going to satisfy you like crazy. And I understand it may sound sort of strange now, but try it out for yourself. I've experienced this personally, and like I mentioned before, tons of my clients have too. It works. The tongue is so adaptable, and you can shape your taste preferences via your food choices. You can look at it like every meal that you eat is either sensitizing your taste buds a little bit or dulling them a little bit. So it's not the end of the world if you include some processed foods, but there's definitely an upper limit that you don't want to cross because it'll send your preferences in an unfavorable direction. Also, if you keep going back and forth between healthful foods and processed foods, you're going to sort of stay in that crossover period or limbo state where you're not really all that satisfied by any meal that you eat. So the saying "you can't serve two gods" applies here. Just really commit for a couple weeks and I promise you'll see the benefits. There's also a whole bunch of knock-on effects. Like once you start improving your nutrition, your taste buds are going to change and prefer healthful whole foods, but so is your body and your mind because you're going to feel so good that it'll reinforce those decisions because you want to continue to feel good. It's the same deal with working out or getting great sleep. The more you stay on top of your movement habits and sleep hygiene, the more you're going to want to stay on top of your movement and sleep because you essentially raise your internal bar in regards to sense of well-being, and then you really feel it when that bar starts to drop. The contrast is key because when you truly implement all of this nutrition, movement, and sleep stuff on a consistent basis, you're going to feel better than you ever thought that you could. Because the truth is, you don't know what you don't know, but there's only one way to find out. So give it a shot. What do you have to lose? If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. Follow me up on Instagram at N1Fitness and feel free to friend me on Facebook at Marcus Sadu. Lastly, be sure to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're using. Thanks for tuning in and I will catch you on the next episode. See ya.